probably just somebody playing a joke.
Well, it looks like we're all
hit record. All right, Mary, I gotta tell you, I watched Holistay yesterday. This was good. I mean, there were so many twists and turns with the story, and I thought it was gonna go one way, and then there was all these other little twists and turns in the story, and I overall, and the end twist, which I'm not gonna reveal, was shocking to me. So overall,
Cool. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked it. It's a very slow burn. It's sort of like, my favorite writer director is Hitchcock. So he likes to percolate along and sort of have some twists and turns. And then at the end, it finally shows up. I know now a lot of horror movies, I say this is more of a thriller. They get desensitized because there's so much violence and so many people being killed. And by the third killing, they're like, okay. So I try not to do that. And we did not have any CGI or anything like that. So I try to make it where at the ending is your reveal. And that was sort of what I had planned. So I'm glad it worked for you.
yeah, it did. I mean, just the way everything came out, and you kind of knew when you meet the couples, you kind of knew Gavin and Erin's characters were like, your normal couple. But I kind of knew from the beginning when you meet Stephen and Gabriela's characters, like something's a little bit off with them. I knew right away, like, because when I read the plot, I'm like, all right, this has got to be the one couple that has like the dark secret going on. It's got to be these two, because just the way they come off each other and the way they're introducing themselves, I'm like, something's not right with these guys. So I kind of knew. I kind of deciphered it. But what was it like working with these four on the film?
So Stephen Martini and Gabriela Kulaif are married in real life. I met Stephen in 2008 at the Philadelphia International Film Festival, where I was living at the time. I'm born and raised in Philly. I moved to LA in 2010. He had a film out at the festival with Alec Baldwin called Lime Life, and I was on the board of the Film Society. So I had met him. I always thought he was a cool cat. He hadn't been in the movie. He had wrote the script with his brother, Derek. But he had done some projects, and I always thought I wanted to work with him, and we kept in touch. And then Erin and I shared the same agent, and I had always, I had actually had another project that I lost funding for after COVID because funding was coming out of Ireland. It was about Irish pilots. And so Erin was in that, and so was Stephen. But then, so I already had those relationships with them in terms of wanting to work. And then Gavin, I met recently. I was lucky to get him. He lives out here in Vegas. He's been in Ireland, from Ireland, about 20 years. Very busy working actor. He's leaving to shoot an Irish nighttime soap opera drama in Ireland. I wanted authentic Irish characters. I didn't want American playing anybody. I wanted them. So it was kind of challenging for that perspective, but I was lucky to get Gavin. I got him through a friend. My husband's from Ireland. So he had friends up in the Bay Area, and then they had recommended Gavin. So that's how I came across those four. And John Michael Hersey, who plays the Druid, I've known him since childhood, and he did some of the scoring. He does off-Broadway in New York, where he lives, and he's got a PhD in ethnomusicology from NYU, so he did some of the music. And Bailey Steen, I cast her out here. It's not a big talent pool out here in Vegas, unfortunately. When you put out the casting net, you get a lot of LA people coming. I was trying to look for local, because when you go, when you register your film with the film office out here, they like it if you get some locals. I had all local crew, which was also challenging because, again, everything is LA driven. So I'm hoping that they start bringing the industry here more, so we can have more options for, for talent. But I knew these people in that regard, and so I thought they'd be a good fit for And when I wrote the screenplay, I sort of had them in mind. At least I had Erin in mind and Stephen in mind. And I had not met Gabriela, but I knew she had been a model and an actress in Brazil. She is actually Brazilian. So I kept them in mind so they'd fit.
They did.
I think,
yeah. I mean, the chemistry was great. Even when when all four of them, they were all buddy. They seem to, they do all this stuff. And then we get the splits where, you see Gavin and Erin's characters, just riding along with it. And then that's when Stephen and Gabrielle's characters, they're more the tense-filled ones, they're the ones who have the big reveal. And I like the little twist with Stephen's character talking to his daughter, and she reveals another twist in the whole story, and then he deciphers it, and it just kept it felt like it was a slow burn, but for me it kept me driven to keep watching, like, what's going to happen next, what's going to happen. That's what it made me do. It was like, what's going to be next.
Thank you. That's exactly the what I wanted to achieve from an audience. That was my goal. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you got it.
Yeah, and I also liked when they started seeing the hooded figure, and we're like, well, you guys had the edibles, so they might have been caused the hallucinations. And then it's like I start hearing the noises, and it's like that really throws everything. That really threw everything like into chaos in a way. And then of course, when the girls are out, when everyone's out of the house, and then all of a sudden they have the turned luggage and like all these little MacGuffins in the film. Like you mentioned Hitchcock, so I like to use the term MacGuffins.
Yeah.
It really brought to mind all these the MacGuffins, like out of nowhere, and they just all come together. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, that was what I was hoping. I try to throw everything off, and the ending is the big reveal. So everything leads up to that.
Yeah,
like Hitchcock. Everything leads up to the end. And another filmmaker I admire is M. Night Shyamalan. He has the same. And I go back to Sixth Sense, one of my favorite films he did. And that's also at the end is the big reveal. Like everything kind of led up to that moment of the end when you find out who Bruce Willis really is.
Like I feel like you, and there was another filmmaker who just started out this year, Anubis Lopez. His last film, Aged, it had a Shyamalan feel to it. He had this Shyamalan like influence with that film, and so I feel like Shyamalan's becoming like the new guy. Like everyone's getting influenced now.
Well, he's been around a while. I mean, 99 was his first film. He shot it in Philly. He's from Philly. I'm from Philly. I remember when he was shooting it, it was on Walnut Street in the restaurant, and that was his first film. He was young, I think he's in his 50s now, but so he got an Oscar a nomination.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably his best film. So I liked his storytelling and his craft of how he did that. And I kind of follow that. It's hard to do a horror film today. And I wouldn't even say this is horror. I'd say it's more of a thriller.
It is. I feel like I would call it, I would say it's a thriller with a teeny bit of a supernatural edge to it, because they mentioned, with the whole hooded figure and then the screams, and Gavin mentions it could be a banshee. That's possible. It's like bringing a bit of that Irish folklore into the twist as well. That's another twist that he brings up.
I was looking for something unique and different. My husband's from Ireland, so Ireland has so many ghosts and castles and spiritual things, and they still believe in banshees. They still hear them. I was reading an article in the Irish Times where it was all about how these residents were hearing these wailings, and then somebody close to them died. So it was sort of an inspiration. I was trying to make it unique in a way where it wasn't just, Americans. I brought in another culture, and then I decided to add that influence in with the creatures, because, one of my other movies I like that are character driven was a Halloween 1, Michael Myers. And then another movie that I thought was very character driven with no special effects was The Strangers, 2008. Liv Tyler. It was a Bert Bertina movie. He had directed, wrote it. based on facts in California with these people in the cabin that were terrorized. And again, there was no special effects with that. It was just masks and knives and lighting.
Yeah.
So that in itself, was very scary, the tension. But when you don't have the budget to do green screen, like, now horror movies are all walking on the ceiling, they're exploding, it's really,
At least,
a lot going on.
Yeah, and then back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they all relied too much on CGI. Now they're going back to practical effects, which is like so much better now. They're going back to the old school methods, and it makes it better than like that little era where it's just all CGI and it just looked ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's all computer digitally generated, and that's the AI thing going on. And so then, like, it becomes so much of that. And where's the character? Where's the actor? It's just a thing blowing up. CGI is great. I just think it can be overdone, where you have, the monster is totally digital creation of the computer.
Yeah, exactly. But it was done well here. And how long did production take on the film?
You mean how many days did I shoot?
Yeah.
6 days.
Oh, see, I was actually talking to my daughter about that, because she's like, how do movies shoot in like so little time? I go, it's all about the budget, and you also got to remember, indie productions, they don't, because she was always saying, like, these movies take about 2 months ago. Those are like the big A productions. Indie films take a lot less. Okay, and
Time is money.
Yeah, exactly. And I told her a story of how back in Hong Kong they called them 7-day films, because they would just take a week to shoot the movies, like basically back in the old days, And she was like, I think it just like blew her mind away. That she was.
Yeah, well, like, it's not so much the actors. The actors get a flat rate, but then it's crew. Crew is tricky. They want overtime. They only going to go so hours. There was one scene where they wanted to gonzo it through the night, and I'm like, okay, it's your decision. That's what you want to do. I'm fine with doing it tomorrow. But they just said, no, we're already set up. We're just going to go through. And there were 2 separate scenes that were shot at night. Remember, when your cameras are up in a location, you want to stay in that location.
Yeah.
And not have to move around so much. So we all the scripts, any movie is not shot in sequence, right? So if you're outside in the back, you're going to do all your outdoor scenes in the daytime. In this particular room, whatever room, you're going to stick with that room and those people in that room at that time. So you're jumping around. So the actors aren't being worn, it's the crew, right? So you have different people in different scenes, but the crew stays. So that's where you have to be cognizant of your time. Do you try to do as much as you can, but you also want to be realistic. So we could have, I actually had 7 days, which I had allowed, but we did it in 6.
Oh, wow.
Because they wanted to just go get it over, just do it,
Yeah.
Just get it over with.
Yeah. Well, 6 days. I mean, and that's pretty impressive how the movie came out as a whole. I absolutely loved it. And
thank you.
Thank
you very much.
And I'm hoping when it comes out, people will check it out and see, especially those who like Hitchcock and Shyamalan I would recommend this to them. They're like, if they're looking for a modern Hitchcock, a modern Shyamalan, or Shyamalan, or a modern day Hitchcock, I think this is the movie, because I think the influences are clearly there. And, for this being your first movie, I mean, you did a tremendous job on it.
Well, thank you very much. It's my first feature. I did do a documentary. I used to be a political writer, and I used to produce political debates for Comcast. And I was on a Sunday morning talk show for many years in the East Coast. And then I did the documentary, and, but documentaries are completely different. And I've worked on other people's features, but this is my first feature. And Holistay's a trilogy, by the way.
Oh, it's a so we're getting another one.
You're getting another one. Yeah, I'm finishing up the script. We're going to shoot in the spring, because Gavin O'Fearraigh is very busy working actor. He's going out to Ireland to shoot a drama series from September to February. Nightly or a weekly drama series out in Galway. So we kind of have to, we need him, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of it is getting them the same. It's not going to be the same crew, but the two leads will remain, obviously, Finn and Branna. And then we have to incorporate we're going to have new characters and everything like that. I'm not going to say too much again because.
Yeah, no, exactly. But just to see them coming back for a sequel is going to be, I can't wait to see who's going to be next on their on the list, because that's going to be pretty wild to see when it happens.
Well, I hope your audience can catch it. It comes out Tuesday on Amazon Prime Video and VOD streaming platforms. The VOD is popular with people. They can just video on demand. They can get it anywhere on any device. So people seem to like to watch movies on their phones, on their laptops. I like to watch it. You know, I mean, I like theaters, but today that the business model is a lot of it is streaming. And even if you are in the theater, you're in streaming in 2 weeks. Most pictures.
Yeah, most, especially indie flicks. And you know, I got smart TV, so I would just watch it on that. So that's great. Yeah,
I mean, I like theaters. I you know, old school, but you know, today the model is more streaming and TV. And I think big splashy productions like Mission Impossible and, you know, those really big studio films are good in the theater because there's so much action going on and cars flying through the air and all that. It requires a big screen. But for character-driven films, your big home TV is fine. You know, so
exactly. Well, I hope people will check out Holistay when it comes out on Tuesday. As I mentioned, this is a great modern Hitchcock film, and to find out that now that there's going to be a sequel to this, I'm all in. I'm going to be checking this one out when it's ready. And Mary, I can't thank you enough that you took the time to talk about it, and I'm really excited to talk to you.
Oh, I'm honored to be on your podcast. I really appreciate the exchange. You're very knowledgeable, and you know, you're doing indie filmmakers a great service by allowing us to talk about our film, and you know, and letting other people know about it. So it's you that we should thank you for giving us the opportunity to show our films and let people know about it. So I thank you very much.
Well, as my blog states, it's all about the movies. Doesn't matter if it's a big studio. You know, of course, mine's more indie driven and global driven. So I feel like indie and global films need more of that love. So I'm glad to be helping out with the support on that.
Well, I so much appreciate it. I'm sure all the indie filmmakers that you have do as well. Thank you.
Well, I hope everyone gets to see Holistay on Tuesday. And once again, Mary, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it. And I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.